So today's video, you guys are going to go ahead and get an opportunity to see us, maybe a little behind the scenes type stuff, where we are doing our Facebook Live and we're doing our Veggie Talk. But we thought it was a great opportunity to go ahead and do a dual video where you guys can see us talk about our awesome flowers that we have here in the shop. That's more of a local region stuff. But we're going to also talk about our veggie garden. Matt's going to give you tons of info on veggie gardening and an update on where our veggie garden is on the far side. Some we experiment with. 5 weeks ago, we experimented with pulling certain plants apart. We basically have an experiment. We'll show you in the video. And lastly, because Matt's gonna talk about nothing but veggies, because I'm the pond guy, I'm by the lilies. These are our first lilies that came in this year, so I'm finally happy about that. So enjoy the video. Is there any reason why we should show some of those plants that are in there now so they see the growth next time though?
We can maybe just do a teaser at the end and do some B-roll.
So here's our new veggie garden. There's this one.
I'm starting to feel like I'm on a reality TV show. I don't think I like it.
Why? Of how we're scripting it?
You know, just John's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. But
I'm seriously like, I'm like, all these cameras now.
I don't even pay attention to it
between all these cameras and him and like the drone, I'm like, I feel like I'm on a freaking TV show, dude. I don't like it. But we have lots of color. We have a lot of plants right now for all of you who like to attract the butterflies and the hummingbirds. We have a really good selection. We have colors like the whole rainbow and then all the shades in between. Right here in front of me, we have some really amazing dahlias. Look at the texture on those, look how bright. That is not artificial color. That is all natural, beautiful flowers. I mean, these ones here, got a shade, multiple shades on one flower. They are amazing. We have amazing osteos, a really nice daisy. Look at that contrast between the white and the purple. Really, really cool. We have gazanias, we have zinnias, we have gara, we have pentas of just about every color. We have amazing geraniums, scavollas, petunias, verbenas, alyssums, heathers, calabrosias, salvias, kufias. I mean, it just goes on and on. We have foliage plants like some of our really interesting coleus. We have coreopsis, we have starfish sansevieria. No one else has these, starfish. We also have a lot of fiddle leaf ficus in right now. Okay, something else we need to tell people. So something that's different this year than last year is that we have a big giant white tent. I don't know if we want to give them a sneak peek now, maybe next week.
Yeah.
But we have a big giant white tent that we're keeping a lot of our houseplants and our tropicals in. We got a large shipment, and we also have a lot of these fiddle leaf ficus, which are very popular. So we have these with a clean trunk, and then we also have some that are full from top to bottom. We have 2 styles and plenty. We've been having a hard time keeping them in stock, but we got a large shipment in last week, so we have plenty to go around right now.
These things are getting big.
Yeah, they've exploded. So if you saw when we first planted these, they were really small in little 4-inch containers. I mean, these lettuce, the kales, the dill, the cilantro, the Swiss chard, the spinach, this is a monster spinach. These things are amazing. So they're soft, tender, just like your regular small leaf spinach. These have extra large leaves, taste just like spinach. Spinach can be a little tricky to grow here in Northeast Florida, but this proves that spinach can be grown during the cool season. This is a really delicious, one of my favorite spinaches, and I still have seeds for them, although it's getting a little late to plant them by seed. But you can look for the seeds next year. I'll have plenty of those in again. The Swiss chard, absolutely amazing. Beautiful red stems. So ornamentally, they look really nice in the garden, as well as they taste really good. And then we have our assorted lettuces here. So different types of lettuces.
Now, if you guys remember the lettuce talk, we actually did this. We have the same lettuces here, the assortment, as we do over here. They were in a 4-inch container. And what Matthew did with everything that's in the garden, pretty much everything in the garden, is he separated them, things that would grow. And you guys can see how spaced out these are, and I hope it comes across in the camera right. He separated these individually.
There's 4 in one pot.
Yes, 4 in one pot, so he broke them apart and spaced them out. And we did as a test. This was the same pot, and we did not separate them. And you can see how these are just so mashed together. Now, these do look like they're growing a little faster than these guys do. The ones he separated, the roots took a little bit of a shock and took a second to actually go ahead and come out of that shock.
I think they look prettier.
I do too. I think they're spaced out. These are going to be geared to last longer, in my opinion, than these guys that were planted in one spot.
So these ones on the right, although they're growing a little faster because their roots weren't disturbed, what I'm afraid of is with them being clustered so tightly together that moisture can be held in there for a little bit too long, and the lettuces don't like to have moisture in between them. So I would suspect that these could be a little bit more prone to moisture issues, rotting at the stems, where the stems and the roots meet down at the base. Whereas these are going to have, on the other side, are going to have a little bit more room between them. But both are actually doing really good, and we've had a pretty wet week this last week, and haven't seen any damage. So,
and this is another observation right here. So that was actually a pot that had 4 in it. And you guys can see there's an empty space here. That one actually did not make it. Right. So he separated all 4 of those, and that's another risk you take by separating them. That one shocked out and actually did not make it. So just know that, you know, it's a risk, but think of it. That was 1 plant altogether. So now we actually have 3 plants that can actually grow bigger and fatter. So but this garden is doing great.
But the broccoli doing really good here. Now a lot of people don't know this, Jason, but the leaves are edible. So the leaves, the entire plant is edible. So while you're waiting for your head of broccoli to form in the center, look at that little thing. Look how little that is. So while you're waiting for that head of broccoli to form, you can be eating the leaves fresh in a salad, stir fry in soups. There's so many different ways, or as a wrap. These make an awesome natural leaf wrapper. You just cut them right here. You put your filling in the middle, use them as a natural wrap like you would like make a burrito or something out of them. Really good. Absolutely delicious. And then you have your kale. It's one of my favorites, the lacinato kale. Really good, highly nutritious, very soft, tender. It's great for juicing or fresh in salads, however you use any other green, whether it's cooked or raw.
So Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you have a present coming in right now.
Do I really?
And it's currently behind you.
Oh my God,
Yeah, you see that? This is what Matt gets excited about, everybody.
Wow.
And David's going to bring it nice and close to us.
All the way from Holland.
All the way from Holland.
Yeah, David said it's all the way from Holland,
So this is straight from Holland. These are our subtropical bulbs. So these are all bulbs that are zoned for our area. I'm super excited. This is the very first time we've ever carried this many varieties of bulbs. I had to do a little bit of research. Typically, if you've grown up in the north or lived in the north, there's a lot of bulbs that you can grow up north. It's a little bit different here in the south. There's a whole different category of bulbs that we can grow here. They're not always as easy to find, but I did have a sales rep come in last year, and he showed me his catalog, and he had plenty of options of bulbs that grow in our zone right here in Northeast Florida. So here soon I'm going to have a really amazing display of a lot of different bulbs. Some of them you may be familiar with, but there's going to be a lot of new introductions I think that people have never seen before. It's going to be really cool.
Matt won't stop talking about these guys.
I'm pretty excited.
Keeps talking about his bulbs.
I'm pretty excited. Bulbs are a lot of fun. I can go on and on about bulbs. We'll talk about them more once I have them displayed, maybe next week during this, what do you call it, Let's Talk Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe next week, or we might feature it on a Facebook clip. We might even do a YouTube video. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're missing out on a lot of content, because we do some things on Facebook, we do some things on YouTube. You should definitely be going back and forth, checking them out, because some of our longer videos where we do a lot of editing and do a lot of really interesting effects are going to be found on YouTube. So definitely check those out as well. But we still have some more to do here in the veggie garden. I mean, there's a lot going on in earthworks. So as you can see, I mean, we've received like 3 or 4 shipments this week on semis. I mean, I'm talking semi loads of material with pottery, palm trees, all kinds of exotic flowers, bulbs now. So there's a lot going on, but we have some tomatoes to plant. We got to plant tomatoes.
Plant tomatoes, and before, okay, so Matt's going to get
So I'm using my shovel, tomatoes. So it is time to be planting tomatoes right now. So if you haven't started your tomatoes, it is definitely time to do it. I have a few different varieties. I have a cherry Roma, I have a Brandywine, and then which one's this? This is the black cherry. I'm excited about the black cherry. I have a type of black cherry at home right now that we featured in one of the YouTube videos. It's called the Midnight Snack, where it's purple on top and red on the bottom. Really cool cherry tomato, absolutely delicious. The large slicing tomatoes take a little bit longer to develop, and sometimes they don't develop before the summertime. So if you've never grown tomatoes, start with cherries. I'm going to show you a few different tricks here. So I'm first going to plant the one that's closest to me, which is the cherry Roma. I always keep my tags nearby in case I forget what it was I planted. I'm going to use my hand, turn it upside down, loosen the pot, pull it through.
Now recap on what's in this soil, because people that didn't watch the last time we did this, it was like 5 weeks ago that we did this veggie box, and as soon as this veggie box maxes out, we've got plans for a second one.
Yeah, so we fill this up with the number 3 mix, which has a lot of nutrients in it, but then we also put in the mushroom compost, we put a lot of biotone in, we put the Happy Frog soil conditioner in. So we prepped this bed and loaded it with nutrients. I have not fertilized any of this.
Yeah, no fertilization. All this growth is just coming from what's in the soil.
Exploding with all of the things that we put in before we planted. So that is crucial to giving your plants a jump start, is getting the soil nutrient loaded before you even plant. Now what I'm going to do that's a little bit different for the second one. So the first one I literally just made a shallow hole, put it right at the surface, got the tomato in, it's good to go. Now you can see how long and leggy this is. A lot of people don't know this, but tomatoes can make roots along their stems. So I'm going to bury this thing about halfway so that half of this stem is buried under the soil. So I'm going to get going here.
And guys, just remember, always check back in on these videos, because this right here, if you don't think it's going to work, the whole point of us doing this is another 4 to 6 weeks from now, we're going to do another check-in on the veggie garden, and then also be planting something that you should be planting at that time. So just watch what he does, and look at the roots already.
Oh yeah, so these are the roots from the dill. Unfortunately, I just
that's crazy. This roots. Plant right here is already had roots grow that far out in 5 weeks.
Yeah. So you see how deep I'm planting that. That seems to be counterintuitive. Tomatoes, one of the few things you can do this with. So I'm just going to backfill that with soil.
That's going to be 4 to 6 inches deeper.
And what that's going to do, it's going to strengthen the plant. Yeah, it's going to strengthen the plant. So now everything that's buried will now start producing roots along the stem, which will give it more surface area of root. But also, because this is so tall, long, and leggy, it's going to also help strengthen the plant, so the stem will thicken up a little bit faster, and it'll keep it from wanting to fall over. So if you find these at our store, some of them are kind of tall, long, and leggy, you can go ahead and bury them. You can almost bury them all the way to the top if you wanted. So long as you have a few leaves at the top, you can bury it as far as you want. Plant this one a little bit deeper than the first one, not as deep as the second one. This is a little bit leggy. Yeah, it smells good.
Tomato like that, because I never needed to bury it. That's awesome.
Yeah, most of my tomatoes I do this way. Awesome. It's that simple. You don't mind getting a little dirt underneath your fingernails. I think it's good.
That's the great thing about creating a veggie box raised garden instead of doing it in the soil. Our Florida soil is really tough to grow veggies in. Yeah. And now you have this nice, soft, fluffy soil that's easy to dig in.
Yeah, super easy.
And the idea is when we do this later on, like after this season's passed and we're ready to take everything out, we're going to churn the soil, add some more amendments, soften it up again, and it'll be easy again to plant.
Yeah, so we're in transition, so we're still cool enough to where we still have some hangovers from the winter time. So some things are still left that we had planted earlier, a month ago. Technically, at home I was planting these all the way back at the end of August and September. Some of these things in October. So our lettuces, our greens, our cauliflowers, our broccolis, all those things we had really gotten started technically much earlier in the late fall, early winter time. But because we have such a long, extended kind of spring-like winter, comparable to other parts of the country, this is like spring or winter time. These thrive, all these plants thrive when the temperatures are below 80 degrees, and we've definitely had, you know, in the 50s and 60s for most of the winter time. So these plants love that, with very narrow windows between the highs and the lows. We have had a few roller coaster dips up and down, but overall we're kind of like prime time with these leafy greens. So they're still thriving, but if we were to have this whole bed full of leafy greens and we only had one bed, we wouldn't be able to get our tomatoes started early enough. We wouldn't be able to get our peppers, our eggplants, all of our warm season, our cucumbers and zucchinis and all those things. So we do have to decide at some point to begin removing some of our winter plants to make room for our spring plants, which will carry us through at least until hopefully mid-summer time before it gets too hot. Or we decide that we might need more beds. So sweet potatoes will over summer. The ideal time to plant them is toward the end of May. You can push that a little bit later, but you can put sweet potatoes in the ground, and that's a great idea for a video I can show everybody how to get sweet potatoes started. And then they're a vine, so you let them cover the entire bed, which help keep the weeds down. And you just trim the vine all around the edges of the bed. And the more you trim the vine, the faster the sweet potatoes develop under the ground. And sweet potatoes are a crop that grows very well here. And then if you plant them in May, you usually harvest them right before Thanksgiving. But if you were to plant them a little bit later than May, you might be able to harvest them around Christmas, and then or a little bit before Christmas, and then around Christmas time you can plant all of your winter vegetables is another option. So it really depends on what you want to grow, the timing of when you actually plant everything, the timing of when you harvest everything. But we certainly can keep the veggie garden growing all year round.
Rhonda made a very good observation. Yeah, Rhonda, that's an ice cream truck. It literally just passed right by us. There's construction going on over here. Smart man. He's going to try to get all those guys up for some ice cream. Yeah, that was ice cream truck. All right, Matt. So the last thing we're going to do is potentially show them our new garden once we've maxed this out. We still have a little space to plant some more things in here.
Just show them.
You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Because we've started building it.
We started planting a little bit too.
All right. So here is our new veggie box. So this is what we would do in somebody's yard if they'd allow us. This is a permanent structure. We talked about this in the last time. That wooden structure will last you a good amount of time, but it's not a forever thing. So here is our stone gate wall that we built the entire structure out of. It's covered by plants because there's not enough room to actually have plants in the nursery right now. And it's filled in with soil and it's already all mixed up. Matt, is this filled in with all the stuff we did on the other veggie box, or is there still something for us to do? Did you do all the work and now people don't get to watch us?
We did do a lot of the work. So I couldn't wait. I was so excited. So this is like a big sandbox for me. I couldn't wait. So yeah, so we did all the mixing already. So everything's been mixed in like we did in the first video.
Yep.
The bed has already been enriched, and we had a bunch of Swiss chard. And so I wanted to put the Swiss chard around the border just because it's so colorful, and it's also one of the lower growing plants. Also in that corner we have a new combo. It's 2 tomatoes that they planted together. So one, there's already tomatoes growing on them. Yeah, there's cherries. So there's a cherry tomato in the front, and toward the back is like more of a slicing tomato. So we'll see how they do. This is the first time we've carried this where they put 2 tomatoes together.
Kind of like a cocktail citrus.
Yep, and then we have some jalapenos because we have a lot of employees here who like jalapenos. Maybe make some jalapeno poppers on the green egg this summer. They're absolutely delicious.
Yep.
And then I got a little bit of cilantro as well, another cherry tomato in the corner. Haven't decided exactly what we're going to put in the middle, but we have some seeds, so maybe next week.
If you guys want Matt to wait, just keep hitting a comment and say, please wait, please wait, please wait. I want to see a bunch of please waits, and that way I can say, Matt, your people want you to wait and show them how your planting is done.
Yeah.
So we will try our best to contain Matthew so that we can do it on a Let's Talk Thursday.
I see open soil, and I just got to plant something. So sometimes it's hard, like getting our windows of opportunity lined up. So when we're making videos is not necessarily the time when we're planting things. And when we're planting things, we may not have a camera available. So we're always trying to do our best to get as much out there so you all can see what we're doing. And so it's just going to be kind of like you got little windows into what we're doing around here. Now, of course, we have the real version, which is the actual garden store. So if you guys want to come in at any given moment, we're doing something here. Sometimes it's crazy, sometimes it's kind of on the down low. Sometimes we're in the veggie garden, sometimes we're unloading palm trees. But there's always something happening here, especially in the springtime. There's always something new coming in, something exciting, something different. And so we're always gonna be keeping you updated. So we're gonna do our best. It's not always easy, but hopefully we'll get as many of our windows to line up to where when we're doing things, we'll have a camera behind it. We're just starting this whole new series. We're gonna be playing in the garden, getting our hands dirty, planting all kinds of edibles, vegetables, herbs, and so on. Stay tuned, subscribe, share, please comment. If you wanna see us plant something, if you wanna see us experiment, do something different, try new techniques, we would love your feedback.